What is going on, everyone? This is Dad with a Bike, and if you're new to the channel, do me a favor, hit that subscribe, throw me a comment, let me know what you think of this video. Like button. I like to go back and forth and talk with my subscribers, so if you do throw a comment, I will comment back and we can have a conversation. So I am sitting here in my garage, and the purpose of today's video is to talk about a change that I'm making to the channel. It's a change for me, and it has everything to do with the motorcycle that I ride. Now, previously, I rode a 2019 Indian Scout Bobber. And in some of my previous videos, I talked about some of the things that I wanted to do differently with motorcycles in the future, something that I was specifically looking for. I was trying to go and do a bit more longer riding, trying to get more mileage out of the bike. I needed some storage. I needed lots of stuff that was going to suit me. And I was trying to find a bike from Indian and or Harley Davidson that was gonna fit what I wanted to do. Reality set in and said that bike doesn't actually exist after I've gone off and test rode a handful of bikes. Even the new Lowrider S and ST didn't really fit what I wanted in the long run. So a deal came across me I couldn't pass up, and I jumped on it. And yes, that does mean we're introducing a new bike to the garage. We are replacing the Indian Scout Bobber. Now I hope and I pray those of you who follow me because of the content that I was doing with the Indian Scout Bobber don't leave, and you continue to support the channel, because that content will stand true. And anyone who has any questions or anything about Indian Scout Bobber, trust me, I will continue to answer. I have a lot of information and a lot of details that I can give about the Indian Scout Bobber, modifications, all kinds of stuff. So I'm still a wealth of knowledge for that. So hopefully you continue to subscribe and you ask me questions on those things. But this channel is Dad with a Bike. It's not Dad with an Indian, and it's not Dad with a Harley Davidson. It is Dad with a Bike. Primarily because my passion, my hobby, all about motorcycling. Now, motorcycling for me began a long time ago, and it's a passion that I still have today. There are no brands of motorcycles that I dislike. I love all motorcycles, and actually, if I could, and if I had space in my garage and my wife wouldn't kick me out, I'd probably have a dozen, 20 different motorcycles from 20 different manufacturers in my garage. However, I can't. I can only have one, and I would like to take an opportunity to introduce my new motorcycle, my new steed, to you all. Stick around. It's a fun bike. It's not an Indian, it's not a Harley Davidson, but I think it does fit me, fits my spirit, really does fit what I want to get accomplished as a rider. And I truly, truly hope you enjoy it, and we will break it all down in this video. Stick around. Well, everyone, this is the new ride. This is the Tracer 900 GT from Yamaha. Now, if you recall back in a couple of these videos, I've been talking for a while about the type of bike that I wanted to move to, and I had some specific things that I wanted, right? I wanted to have a lot of performance. I wanted it to be able to crunch the miles, because when I get to where I'm going, I want to be able to rip through the twisties, all that stuff. I've got a lot of traveling plans coming up in the next, couple of years. And I was doing all the research, and I was trying to figure out what was going to happen. I knew Indian was not going to produce the bike I wanted. Harley almost was getting close. I went and test rode the Lowrider S again, and what it really ended up doing was telling me that I was looking for the wrong bike, or I'm trying to make something that just isn't there, probably will never be there. So enter in sport touring. Now, when you look at the sport touring segment, there's lots of different bikes to choose from, but I really like the Yamaha Tracer 900. A couple of years ago, actually maybe 5 years ago, I had the FJ09, which was the young, the predecessor to this bike.
And I love that bike. It just lacked a few things. It lacked cruise control, it lacked bags, and to get it outfitted with all that stuff, it would have been extremely expensive. But here we are with the Tracer 900 GT, and this thing, it comes with everything. And that's really what we're going to do. We're going to touch a little bit on all the stuff that comes with the Tracer 900 GT and why this is the bike for me for a while. Now, yes, I traded in, you know, like I said in the intro, I traded in my Indian Scout Bobber. I got an insane trade-in deal on that Indian Scout Bobber, even though it had so many miles on it. And it made it such that this bike would just made sense, at least from a cost perspective. And I'll show you another reason why we have this bike. Oh, sweet Jesus. This thing has power for days. And I'm sorry if it's like super windy out, but it is ridiculously windy today. We've got like crazy gusts, 30-mile-an-hour gusts or whatever, but I've got to run an errand, so we're going to do it while it's windy. So let's break the Tracer 900 down. We're going to actually talk about ergonomics first of all. So this is a sport touring bike, but it's not in like the sport touring configuration. When you think sport touring bikes, you're thinking of like the Ninja 1000. You know, the Suzuki has the new GSX that is, or the GS, whatever, I forget what it is. I'll throw the linky-doo up here. But that's now their sport touring bike. And sport touring is kind of making a comeback because people are getting out, they're crunching more miles. Not everybody is looking to lumber down the road. The big touring cruiser segment doesn't fit everybody. You know, it doesn't fit me. A bagger just doesn't fit me. But the riding ergonomics on this thing is extremely comfortable. I sit upright, very neutral position on my legs. They're not crunched up. I've got plenty of room on my legs. It's not like I'm on a crotch rocket. I've got lots of room. So much so that like standing up and when I'm going at low speeds is pleasant. Like I can stand up, stretch my butt, stretch my legs, all that good stuff. So the ergonomics on this is great. Hands kind of down out in front, which is great when I hit the twisties because it lets me get low and really lean and crank into the bike. The handlebars are nice and wide, so it's very easy to get some leverage on this sucker when you throw it over. So ergonomics wise, it's comfortable and lets me very quickly transition into a sporty riding position kind of whenever I want. So we're going to go to the front of the bike and we're going to work back. You all saw the B-roll of the bike, so you know really what it looks like all around. LED headlights up front, standard. It has an adjustable windscreen, which I reach up and I grab this little knob. It pulls up and I can push it down. Right now I have it in the down position. Coming forward, it has the R1 display, and that display has tons of information. It gives me all kinds of good feedback when I'm riding. And if you all notice, it's got a fuel gauge. What? I know, right? Too bad the Scout Bobber doesn't have a fuel gauge. Now we pull back and we look at the other parts of the Tracer. We look over here to the left-hand side. So your typical controls, you know, your headlights, flash to pass. This does have cruise control, works just like any other cruise control does. It does have different levels of traction control. Right now I have it in TC2 because I'm still, you know, getting used to the bike. I haven't ridden a bike like this in quite some time, so TC2 is like mid-level traction control. I can put it down in TC1 and that will give me the least amount of traction control. When I put it in TC1, ripping wheelies is easy, just power wheelie all day long. It'll power wheelie in TC setting too, I just got to give it more oomph. It does have ride modes, so it's got 3 different ride modes that I can choose from. It's got ride mode A, which is the most aggressive, and it's got standard, which is kind of the happy medium. Right now I'm riding in standard, at least I think I am. Yeah, I'm riding in standard. And then it has B mode, which is very lackadaisical. The throttle response is slower. It's great if you're like in rain, that sort of thing. Okay. So then we cruise over to the right-hand side. We've got a menu scroll, which lets me get into the menu of the dash and select a whole bunch of stuff. All of these things we're going to get into greater detail as I break this bike down in future videos. And I do kind of all the different cool factors of this bike. So we come back to the tank. It's got a 4.8 gallon tank. I will get about 220 miles out of a tank. The one irritating thing about this bike, and it's really about all the Tracers in general, is their fuel fuel gauge. So if you notice up here, it goes full and then half, and then like all of a sudden what it'll do is, like as you're riding, it'll go from full to half. It'll go chunk like real fast. But the one thing that it does do, which is great, is it tells you fuel consumption. It tells you how much fuel you've consumed. So I'm at 2.6 gallons out of my 4.8 tank. So great tank. Sliding back, the seat is comfortable. This is a tall bike. I don't know if you can tell, but I am truly like tippy-toeing, and I'm like 5'9", 5'10". I've got the seat set in the highest position only because I have found so far, just out riding around and playing with seat positions, which by the way, the seat on the Tracers are adjustable up and down by a little bit. I have found that when I put the seat at the highest point, it makes it such that the windscreen in the lowest position gives me the best feeling, and then if I'm out on the highway and I pull it into the highest position, then it puts the wind over my head. So that's kind of why the seating is as it is. And it doesn't bother me to tippy toe because this is a very light bike. It's like 450 pounds. Now as we stay kind of in the midsection and we talk about like the engine on this thing, this is Yamaha's tried and true Crossplane 3 triple that's in the MT-09. This is like probably, in my opinion, one of the best actual engines on the market. The CP3 triple is amazing. And if you've never ridden a motorcycle that is a triple, what it does is it gives you the low down torque, low mid-range torque of a twin, but it gives you the high rev of like a 4-cylinder. So it is like this happy medium between a twin and a 4. And speaking of power, this thing has gobs of it. So this, like I said, is a 450 pound bike. It clocks in at like 115 or 117 horsepower. I'll put all the horsepower-y crap up here. But power to rate ratio on this thing is insane. 0 to 60 is like 2.9 seconds, something like that. It's insane. And the power delivery on this thing is instantaneous. I grab a handful of throttle and the front end always wants to come up. So torque, plenty for this weight. Horsepower, plenty. Top end on this thing, if you have it flashed, which this one is flashed, gets you to 165 miles an hour. If you really want to do top end stuff, you get around these people. So this is extremely powerful and extremely fast. And I've taken it into the twisties a little bit. Like I said, I'm still getting used to throwing this bike around. But it's fast in the twisties and it handles uber well. Lean angle for days. Now the other cool thing about this bike, which you see on the dash right there, is quick shifter. This thing comes with a quick shifter, which I use now quite a bit. You can still shift like normal, but if I want to do the quick shifter, I certainly can. So when I am romping on it, it is so much fun to get the RPMs up in this thing, like 9,000 RPMs, and just bang through that quick shifter. And then as far as revving, you know, rev on this thing, stock they come with a rev limiter. It actually, it's probably more of like a speed limiter, but like I said earlier, but when you get it flashed, it removes that, and now you can hit it up to, you know, where it red lines, which is 11,500 RPMs. Now, cruising to the back of this thing, let's talk about the passenger thing. The passenger situation on this bike is amazing. So one of the things that, one of the reasons why I wanted to kind of start looking at sport tours, and I was having a conversation with my wife about her wanting to ride. She is not a big twin cruiser. She doesn't like it. The vibrations, whatever it is, she doesn't like it. When she got on this and she rode this with me, she's like, oh, I like this. This is comfortable. And the perch on the back seat is just massive. It gives there plenty of room. And when I throw a top box on the back, it gives her a lot of support on that as well. So passenger comfort is bueno. The wife gives this a, you know, plus on the comfort side, enough so that she said she wants to start going riding with me, which she has never ever wanted to do before. Now continuing, one of the things that I had mentioned in my previous discussions, previous videos, was, you know, I ride a lot. I put a lot of miles on a bike, and I tour, want to go do stuff, want to go places. I need luggage. So this thing, default from the factory, comes with luggage. It comes with 2 panniers that are 22 liters each, that clamshell open from the side. And then you can get a top box for it, either through Yamaha, or you can get, you know, SW Motec, Givi, Shad. They all make top boxes for it. So you can add an additional however much storage you want. Like the top box I have for this is a 20 liter expands to a 39 liter. So I have oodles and oodles of storage at my fingertips on this bike for trips that I want to take. Now, lastly, what we're going to talk a little bit about is the overall highway comfort. And in that arena, this thing is amazing. On the highway, it is so butter smooth. When I'm just out cruising, it is fantastic. What is this dude doing? Butter smooth, zero vibrations. You know, at 100 miles an hour, I can see things out of the mirror, which is the other thing about this bike when you're getting it out on the highway, is you don't know how fast you're going. So that is kind of sketchy because it handles so well and it's so smooth. I look down and I'm like doing 100 and I'm like, oh my God, I gotta slow down. So all in all, from that perspective, it being on the highway, fantastic. The suspension on this thing is amazeballs. I didn't talk about the suspension. It is KYB suspension all the way around, fully adjustable, super plush, upside down forks. You know, it's got dual discs on the front, so from a handling perspective, this thing is awesome. Typical 120, 180 tire setup that you would see on most sport bikes. This thing has it all. And yes, maybe it is more of like a dad bike, but hey, I am dad with a bike. Now, hopefully you all thought this was helpful. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you're cheering with me rather than snarling that I've got a new bike. And hopefully I don't lose too many subscribers because I switched from Indian to this bike. And with that, I'll bid you adieu. If you stuck around to the end of this video, do me a favor, follow on to one of these other great videos. And I promise you, my Indian content will still stay up. I will still be a great source for Indian content. If you need anything, Indian Scout Bobber, motorcycles in general, hit me up, ask me. I like to share my knowledge. And with that, y'all have a good one. Love you all. Peace.